Hi, I'm Heather and I'm a body-mind therapist, and I want to talk to you today about why therapy didn't heal your trauma and what will. So I hear a lot of people complain about therapy. I am a life coach. I'm a somatic body worker, and I work with a lot of people, and they'll tell me like, oh, my husband, he did therapy, but it didn't work well. Or, oh, my sister, she did therapy, but she doesn't want to do therapy because it didn't work for her. And a lot of times what's happening, so traditional talk therapy can be amazing for a lot of people. It's really wonderful for learning insights about yourself that maybe you didn't know about. It's amazing to look at patterns of behavior that you've been doing. It's awesome to look at your ways of thinking that are or aren't working for you. And especially if you have like a mental health disorder, it's super, super beneficial and super helpful to be able to look at the patterning and to rewrite the patterning. So the thing about traditional therapy is that it is intellectual learning. You sit in a chair, you talk to a person, it's all about, this is what I'm thinking, and then you talk about your behaviors. Life coaching or coaching is really much more experiential. It's more goal focused, and it's like, what's the problem? Let's solve the problem. When we drop into the somatic part, that's where the real healing begins, especially for people who have body pain. So it could be anything from relationship issues and money and financial issues all the way to body pain. Somatic work makes a huge difference because we're storing our trauma in the tissue. And if the tissue isn't addressed on a neurological level, the trauma is going to remain in the body. It's going to remain in the tissue. And so it's important that we tap into what's happening in the tissue and the nervous system, because the nervous system is what is reminding you, your brain is reminding you continuously and constantly of what happened in the past, and it's trying really hard not to make that happen again in the future. Crazy statistic, think about this. If you look at all of the time in your life that's gone by, think about how many moments there have been where there's been actual threat or actual trauma. Okay, for some people, it was bad. For the average person, we go through trauma. Now, trauma could be anything from, somebody came into my room unannounced while I was sleeping, woke me up and screamed at me, all the way to like sexual trauma and incest, which obviously is very challenging to learn how to get over because your body is storing that. Even I have had clients even where a therapist in the past has said, well, that's not very traumatic because you're doing fine now. That's not necessarily true because your body is still holding the trauma. Your nervous system is still holding it as if there's something wrong. And if you feel discomfort in your body, then the way that you respond intellectually, mentally, emotionally, behaviorally is operating out of the trauma that you're holding in your body. So insight that we get in therapy is not the same as integration, which is what we do in somatic work, where we ground it in the body. So knowing what happened is great. Sometimes looking at what happened actually re-traumatizes someone because the safety that's needed in the body hasn't been developed first. So the container for the body to be able to hold the memory isn't available. And so the client can actually get re-traumatized when there isn't an inherent and felt sense of safety and a container for it. The body has to feel safe before we can process trauma. And I find that this is a really big thing that a lot of, especially new therapists, miss. They're like, I want to just dive into the trauma. You can't just dive into the trauma. You have to make sure that the body is safe first. You have to know for sure, and your client has to know for sure, and you as the client have to know for sure that you feel safe enough to explore your trauma. Most important part. Here's an example of how somatic work works. I've had multiple clients who have seen therapists for like 10 years. Some of these clients have been seeing therapists their whole lives. You know, they're in their 30s and their 40s, and they've been seeing a therapist since they were in their 20s. And they come to see me, and within about 6 months of sessions, because the way that I like to work is, let's discover the problem. Let's do the somatic work. The somatic work can be subconscious reprogramming, inner child work, somatic work where we're talking to the body, hands-on work where we're feeling into the body. Did I say inner child work? Experiential work. So it's very alive. The second session is very alive. And then the third session is integration. And it takes a while to go through these different traumas in our lives in order to unravel all of this body-mind processing that's happening when something, your boyfriend says, I don't want to go to that restaurant, or something very simple, and the body has this whole huge reaction to it. So I find that within about 6 months, the container has been made with somatic work, enough so that we can really start digging. I had one client tell me, she's like, I feel like I'm in the desert and there's all these rocks, and under all these rocks are these like big traumas. And you and I just go and we like pick up the rock and we look under and we go, oh yeah, that happened. And then we put the rock and we process it and we put the rock down. And she's like, now I feel like my desert doesn't have any rocks left in it. And, and when she got to that point, her foot pain went away. She felt like she loved herself. Her relationship with her kids changed. She started dating healthy people. So this is very normal results for this work. I've worked with multiple women who have been in abusive relationships. They call me when they're in the abusive relationship, and they realize that something's off. They don't even know that they're in an abusive relationship. And by doing this somatic work and learning to love themselves and doing the subconscious reprogramming, they start to realize like, wow, the relationship I'm in doesn't feel good in my body. We're raised in a culture where we're taught not to feel our feelings. Especially boys are taught, suck it up, buttercup. Too bad if it hurts. Keep playing football. Boys don't cry. And the thing is that girls actually experience the same thing. Girls are allowed to cry, but you're supposed to be a good girl, and you're supposed to be a people pleaser, and you're supposed to make sure that boys love you. And we miss that we get to love ourselves. We get to be fulfilled. We get to feel safe without a man. Or as a man, we get to feel safe in our bodies, and we get to experience our feelings without judgment and without shame. So you can do somatic work on the table. I do that as a somato-emotional therapist. I do it as a craniosacral therapist. You can even get into like trigger point and neuromuscular therapy and myofascial therapy, where you're opening the fascia. The fascia, they're learning in science in the last like 20, 30, 40 years. It's very new science. They're learning that the fascia is actually like another brain. So also 20, 30 years ago, they started to learn that the belly is another brain. Your belly is literally communicating with you all the time. And if you aren't embodied, if you aren't in your body and you're not listening to your body, you're not listening to your fascia, you're not listening to your tissue, you're only thinking with your mind. This is why therapy doesn't work. You go in a therapy session, you sit in a chair and you talk with your mind. Embodiment is where the gold is. Embodiment is where the juice is. And probably 10 or 15 years ago, I've been a body worker since 1999. And about 10 or 15 years ago, I started realizing that I could do embodiment work not on the table. And I started building my practice all over the world. I had clients in Greece. I have clients in California, New York, literally all over the world. And what I learned was that You can do somatic work in your chair. You don't need a practitioner to touch you in order to do somatic work. So I can do somatic work with anybody anywhere in the whole world at this point, which is amazing to me. You can do somatic work, you can do experiential work, I can do subconscious reprogramming work, I can do inner child work. All of these different things can happen without your body ever being touched by someone. There are definitely, I've definitely had clients who don't like to be touched. They would much rather sit in the chair and do the work inside their own bodies. It's experiential work. It is physical, visceral, emotional, body-mind work. But you don't necessarily need somebody to touch you and be moving your tissue in order for it to work. So that's good news for some people who are long distance. They can't actually come and see me on the table. Sometimes the table work can actually be distracting from you getting in touch with your own body. Someone else touching you can actually get in the way of you feeling what's happening for you. A really, really good somatic therapist, a really, really good therapist isn't going to tell you how you feel, isn't going to give you advice, isn't going to tell you this is what you got to do. A really, really good therapist holds neutral and loving space for whatever's happening inside of you to emerge, for you to drop into your body and feel yourself completely. Feel the parts of you that you've been judging and that you think other people are judging. Feel the parts of you that you're ashamed to feel and hold them and love them. This is what we do in somatic work. It's so incredible. It's so beautiful. And it works so well. It works so well that I actually have other therapists. Like, I'll start seeing someone, and especially if somebody has mental health issues, I'll say to them, look, the work we're going to do is going to blow your shit open, okay? It is intense work. And if you have mental health issues, I want you to keep your therapist. I want you to be able to do the intellectual processing with your therapist, because sometimes the work I do is going to blow your body open in a pretty incredible way. And it's important to have somebody to process that with outside of the processing that you're doing with me. Now, I do the work mentally, emotionally first, then we do the somatic work, and then we do integration work. I do all of that continuously through the process. And it is nice for some people, especially with mental health issues, to be able to go to their therapist that they've been seeing for 10 or 15 years and say, this is the work we've been doing, and have it also be more integrated. That can be really, really helpful. But the craziest part about it is that the therapist will call me and be like, what are you doing with my client? How is this working so well and so quickly? And therapists will start referring me their clients because they've been working with them for 10 or 15 years and the client isn't getting anywhere. The same thing happens with these unidentified somatic issues, like chronic pain issues, where people are like, I don't know, I've had a stomach ache for 7 years and nobody can figure out why. Somatic work also works for these people. I had a client once with multiple sclerosis. Yeah, multiple sclerosis. She had this terrible arm pain, and it was a burning arm pain. And we realized we started to do some emotional and mental work, and we started opening up the idea, because of inner child work, that maybe one of her parents was extremely narcissistic. And she started doing more work on narcissism and learning about it, I think probably even with her therapist. And she came in and we did this one experiential session where she realized this. Her father had been burning her painfully, emotionally, her whole life. And when he died, this arm pain started. And what she did was she put her father into her arm so that he could still be with her after he was dead. And when she realized that, the arm pain that she'd had for 3 years since the father had died vanished, gone, literally overnight. Craziest part is, when I said to her, do you want to get rid of MS forever? She said, no, it's okay. It's been in my family for generations. My mother had it. My daughter had it. It's just something I have to learn to live with. That's a whole other blog. That's a whole other video that we could get into. Why do people want to hold on to their pain? Well, there's a lot of benefits from being a victim. We're not going to get into that in this video. I've probably already made a blog about it. If I have, I'll link it. If I haven't, I'll make one. But I want you to understand that pain is stored in the body, and it needs a place to be held and contained and safe enough to be seen and explored and understood in a non-judgmental place where you don't feel shame. Okay? It's body-mind integration. Therapy is amazing for your mind. Somatic work is amazing to integrate the body-mind information. I have my master's in mental health. I've been a licensed massage therapist since 1999. I do both. I do mind and body somatic integration of both, and it is so effective and it gets such amazing results. So, I told you why therapy isn't necessarily healing your trauma. I'm telling you what will. Find a somatic therapist. You can find a myofascial therapist. You can find a somatic therapist. You can find someone who does subconscious reprogramming, someone who does inner child work. I do all of those things. If you're interested in working on some body pain, some chronic issues, relationship issues, financial issues, any of that stuff, if this is resonating for you and you're like, God, I've been in therapy for 10 years and I want a breakthrough, please reach out to me. I'll put the breakthrough session in the link. It's at the bottom of the blog if you're reading the blog. It's in the YouTube video. Book a breakthrough session with me. It's completely complimentary. We can look at what's working for you, what's not working for you, where's the breakthrough for you. I'll help you discover exactly the plan that you need to get the results that you want. And if I can't figure that out for you, I'm super connected. So I will put you with somebody that I think can work with you better. So if you like this information, if you understand that me making this content takes time and love, and I'm giving so much of myself, and you want to give back in a little tiny way, hit the like button, make a comment. That definitely helps the SEO for, other people who could use this information. If you share it with your friends, that's also super helpful for me. It's helpful for them. We can get more people learning about this. We can get more therapists learning about this so that they can get the continuing education that they need in order to serve people better. So I want to be a contribution. I want you to be a contribution. So hit the like button, hit the follow button, hit the share button. Let's get this information everywhere that we can. And if you're feeling resonant, you feel like, man, I really want to do this with you, Heather, hit the breakthrough session link. Let's schedule something. Let's see if you're for me and I'm for you, and we'll go from there. Otherwise, stay tuned. I have so much more content coming.